after I made that painting, I shortly afterwards made the decision to leave the marriage that I was in that was so toxic. And these images are also emblematic of what was stepping into a newfound sense of faith and trust in the divine energy and in my path. What you see on the left is the sketch that I made the day after I got out of the house with this person and was just letting an image out of someone stepping into the water, surrendering to the ocean of emotion, so to speak. And then on the right is a canvas that I ultimately had left over from my marriage that I decided to transform. This was something I had had at my wedding where guests had been invited to sign their names onto these little leaves, which had been stuck all over the branches of this tree, celebrating D&M, my ex-husband and me. And when I left my marriage, I had this canvas. I didn't want to really throw it out because it had so much positive energy embedded into it. I decided to rip all those leaves off and turn it into a new vision. And this is what came through. And this is called Awaken. And it is another one that is to me very strongly emblematic of the beginning of this journey of visionary art for me. And this was an intuitive just stream of consciousness letting the paint do its thing. But when I was finished, I recognized, ooh, this painting has kind of an interesting connection to my past. Because my name is Molly Chopin. This is my artist's name. And Chopin is technically my middle name. It's not my official last name, but it is my mother's maiden name. And in my family lineage, I get asked all the time, "Oh, Chopin, are you related to the music guy?" And I'll say no, but I am related to the great American feminist writer who wrote a novel in 1899 called The Awakening. And if you have not read this novel, it is basically the story of a woman who is in her late 20s, in a marriage, housewife, raising children. She wakes up one day and realizes, I think I want to be a human in ways beyond these roles of motherhood and being a wife. And so she steps away from her family and starts to go out on her own, and she gets into painting and making new friends and just finding out who she is as a person. And I don't want to spoil the ending if you haven't read it yet, but there is a great scene at the end of this novel where she is confronting the evolutions that she has made by going out into the ocean and having sort of this moment of confrontation with the forces that are beyond her. And so when I finished this painting, I just was like, oh my gosh, wow, it's like my great great grandmother is coming through to let me know, hey, you don't have to be like this character in the 21st century, and you have the power to walk your own path. You do not have to be a wife or mother in this timeline. So going to be good. And from there on, I just had to keep painting. Now that I just had this sense of, these voices that could come through the paint and these messages that could enable one to find perspectives to keep going. So this is from my first art show. After I got out of my marriage, it was not long after that that I got out of teaching just because the stress of the school system was a bit too much for my nervous system to be working with. So I ended up getting part-time work at a restaurant, and the part-time rest of my efforts was towards the art making. And so sharing my work at shows like this and allowing more paintings to come through, many of which were just intuitive stream of consciousness, letting the healing energies come through. And got into doing some muraling and commission work, and then that was how I was making my living. And I also, at that time, came in touch with the Burning Man community. These are just some photos from that moment in time, because I feel like that's been a significant part of my evolution as well. This counterculture that inspires these gatherings in which people come into a space where, again, like the painting that I shared in an earlier slide, there's a strong encouragement of radical self-expression, while also radical inclusion of everyone's expression, and all of these other principles that to me are just awesome examples of how we can operate in spaces consciously together. And so I really enjoyed going to these gatherings on a regular basis from pretty much 2015 onward, and got into doing some awesome collaborations with other artists, such as this 16-foot wide, 9-foot tall peacock sculpture that I made with my artist friends, which we made from receiving an art grant from one of these burn gatherings. So if you're interested as an artist in receiving funds to, say, make something that you've never made before, like a giant peacock sculpture, check out regional Burning Man gatherings because they have art grant money to give to artists, and they'll just pay you for your supplies and what will take to get your art to this event. And then you get to enjoy seeing hundreds of people enjoy it throughout the span of the gathering. And around this time too, I was certainly doing a lot of painting on canvas, but I was actually doing more painting on people. This is from the body paint chapter of my art journey, where when I was a school teacher, I discovered a love for face painting from getting into doing Halloween festivals and being asked to do that. And when I got out of teaching, I got into just doing face painting for parties, but then discovered there was a very big body paint subculture in the state of North Carolina where I live. So I found artist friends that inspired me to start painting on the human form head to toe, getting other artists to assist in this process, and getting into some competitions and conceptual photo shoots where just let's see what we can do on this form. Let's see how we can bring the inner world onto the exterior of the form. And gosh, yeah, this was just a lot of fun doing these projects and making this moving, living art, basically. 2017 this photo was around, and this was when the world really took an interesting turn for a lot of us, and I was inspired to channel some of the energy that I was having in response to these shifts into work that you see in this picture here, this painting with the tiger that was created in response to an anger that I felt inside of seeing these powers rising that to me were ultimately going to be detrimental to a world that I want to see us evolving into, where we're operating with levels of compassion and consciousness for each other, and acceptance of all the forms that humanity can take as long as no harm is being done to others. And so there are times when the art making is receiving the transmissions from the worlds beyond, but also it's good to be putting the art towards getting some messages out that do have direct influence on some of these puzzles at hand. So yeah, this is artwork that is still available on my website in the form of shirts and other items, to where funds are donated to offset some of the attitudes that are currently at hand. And this is another painting, also from that time, emblematic of just the recognition of the forces that are counteractive to some of these powers that have arisen in these recent times. And this image, Cataclysm, was created to serve as a reminder for myself and others of that counteractive force, that love that does draw us together, and the ripple effects which expand out when we are more in tune with this. So yeah, the late 2000 teens towards 2020, just more and more paintings coming through that were transmutations, a combination of these that were allowing me to gain new insights into spiritual realms and process the energy as I continued to confront the shadows. And then this painting here, Empowerment, this is the last painting that I did before the pandemic. And the last painting I did in the style in which I was painting in at this time, before I was then introduced to a new style of painting in mid-2020 called the Mish Technique, thanks to a wonderful artist named Amanda Sage, who I had been a fan of her work for a couple of years leading up to this. And the pandemic happened, and for me, it shut down the restaurant that I was working in at the time. It shut down all of my body art projects. And while grappling with all of this stuff, I just so grateful to see an announcement online saying that one of my favorite artists will be offering an online course in the Mish Technique. And so this was the first painting I did in the Mish Technique from Amanda's course, Transformations. And what a game changer. This has just opened up my process in all kinds of new ways of exploring depth and color and atmospheric effects like I had never played with before. And so at the top of this slide, you can see how this painting came into evolution. It was just a low practice panel that Amanda encouraged us to experiment on. And the butterfly was not an intended outcome of this for me. It was just playing with those shapes that were part of this first abstract composition. But that's what came through. And Amanda's teachings on really opening oneself up to an intuitive process and just knowing all you need is that starting point, and then that will influence what happens next, what happens next, what happens next. It's just been one of my favorite ways to paint since that process being really reiterated for me. So this is now what I consider to be a major component of my style, as well as just recognizing that I am very drawn to using this style to combine both realistic and abstract techniques to convey inner and outer worlds simultaneously. And 2020 was also the year in which I was deciding to go into my creative practice full time. Again, growing up, I had been discouraged away from the path of being a full-time artist. And yet at this point in time, I started to feel the call of, I think this might be the way to go because there's going to be stress no matter what in this life. And yet I am going to choose this stress over other forms of stress because this is the call of my heart and what makes me feel more alive than many, many things. So 2020, I invested in some equipment to start setting up a booth at festivals and markets in my area. And started, I invested in a printer to be able to start selling reproductions of my work, an e-commerce site so that I can make online sales. Went into a business of art mentorship program, just went full force into devoting myself to learning as much as I could about how the creative path can work. And that's the journey that I've been on since 2020, the roller coaster of discerning how one can be an artist in this world. So these are just some of the other visions that have come through since then. These two reiterating kind of that idea of us gathering around a fire in this space and in other spaces. Humans gathering around fire has been a theme that I've been drawn to over and over again in my work because it is one of the most timeless things I've ever done. Like this imagery is something that could be from this day and age, 21st century, or from thousands of years ago. And it just is such powerful medicine, whether we're sitting still or dancing. There's just such magic in these both literal and metaphorical fires we can gather around. And I've gotten into doing some live painting. I've really enjoyed setting up an easel to get into a flow zone with whatever energetic surroundings I'm in, whether it be dancing or people connecting or talks being given. And some muraling too. This is an example of just one of the murals that I was able to create these past few years. This was a Mish technique mural, which was really interesting to execute on a very large wall versus a smaller canvas. But yeah, so much fun being able to take that technique to larger walls and larger walls in general. I'm really hoping to be getting into doing some more of this kind of art as time goes on. And then just a few of my most recent visions, this was finished at beginning of this year, this one. And it's work that started with the starting point of the Vesca-Piscis. I have a strong affinity for sacred geometry. I took a course through Vitri Academy with Crystallize a couple years ago. That was phenomenal. And since then, I have had such a strong desire to bring that into my work as much as possible. And really just wanting to create images now that will continue to remind myself and others of the spiritual nature of this existence. And I'm finding that images are wanting to come through that like enable one to get perspective from the reactionary, more egoic side of self. This painting is called Soul Seeds and is a celebration of what I perceive are the collective shifts that are happening right now, all around the place, all of these coinciding movements in all of these forms that do have this sense of this new world that we may be evolving towards, where levels of consciousness are are higher, unique, or I don't want to say higher, but just different from what they are now. And so with that, this is a painting that really wanted to come through last year. That is a prayer for some shifts to be made into recognition of the value of more intuitive, creative, and feminine states of being, which I believe have been suppressed and downplayed and belittled in this world. And so wanting to create imagery that enable people to access that side of self and to recognize a necessity for us to be shifting into more of a balance and embodying that, and how we operate with all of our systems in this reality. So where I hope to go from here, I would love to continue creating and exhibiting my art at festivals, at any kind of transformational gatherings, to allow that imagery to elevate whatever intentions are at hand, to continue offering workshops that enable others to learn techniques, to bring their own visions through. I'm really excited to be offering some intuitive painting workshops now, where we are doing a little bit of technical focus, but yeah, just talking more about all these different methods through which you can access your own visions and quiet the voices of the inner critic. And I'm looking forward to creating more murals, especially in collaboration with other artists and communities. I'm currently enrolled in a school for muraling called the Community Mural Institute, where I'm learning about a technique of muraling called polytab, where instead of painting directly on a wall, you paint on a fabric that can then get adhered to the wall, which means that you can have a community paint party where everyone has a hand in creating this material before it's up on the wall. So these are just some of the directions that I am really looking forward to evolving in. And I just wanted to share this with you all too. How I came to kind of summarizing my art journey today was through an exercise that I was introduced to through this mural program called the Story Spiral, where you just draw a line on a piece of paper like this, and you can choose as many pinpoints as you want to make on that line. What are like these main components of your artistic evolution? And then to also come up with a page for your future. Where is it that you want to be going with your art path? And so for me, I am, as I just mentioned, just hoping to get into facilitating more of these transformational gatherings and experiences for others, and continue to create and share and show others how to pull the visions out of their own beings, so that they too can experience the empowerment and healing that comes from the art making process. So that is the last slide. And thank you all for your time and attention, as shared a little glimpse of the journey.
Choo choo!
Amazing, Molly. Yes, it's so incredible to hear about your story like that. You just flow with these important moments of your life that we can see that's something that's in you, and you speak with so much truth, with so much emotion, that we can even experience these transformations from your artwork and your art history. Thank you for bringing this for us. Yay. And as you were talking, you managed to answer most of the questions that I wrote down to ask for you. But anyway, let's go for it. This art healing that you just brought up, this powerful tool that art is, and also the connection of your service with art is, since the beginning, bringing this art healing to people, be it in the institution of school or outside of school in your artistic path. You're always bringing up these themes and emotions in your visions that are so relatable to any one of us. Yeah, think it's so embedded. Everything that you just say about art healing, it's so embedded in your work. That is amazing to see. For me, I look to your painting and I can feel, I can go inside the painting and also feel the energy there, because the way that you bring these symbols, this energy, this atmosphere in your painting is just, it, it's so bright, it's so lively, it's so, yeah, it's so powerful. It's extremely powerful. Thank you for bringing this. So let me bring one question here for you. Okay, where do you draw these inspirations for your visions, and how do you decide which ideas to pursue?
Right on. Yes. Thank you for this question, and thank you for your wonderful reflections that you just shared beforehand. And thank you to everyone who is sharing reflections in the chat. So yeah, in response to that, with each vision, it's a little bit of its own unique thing. But in general, I feel like pretty much in 2013, when I showed you all that image of the red-haired, golden-faced, blue-eyed being that I painted on the day that my ex was out of the house, I feel like that truly was a moment of sort of a channel being opened inside, which, you hear about people having with lots of spiritual experiences, like someone takes a class on developing their intuition, and through just a simple exercise in that class, a channel is open and suddenly they can perceive qualities of this reality that before that they couldn't. And so I think when that painting came through, it was like a channel opened inside, and there's sort of like these muscles inside around this channel now, that when there's imagery that is floating through my mind's eye, when there's a vision that it just seems really has to come through, it's like those little muscles around that channel kind of get activated. They're like, or it's like a little bell goes off inside, like ding, and then it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that is a vision that really wants to come through. Or it might be like something that's coming up a lot on my radar for whatever reason, of like content I'm consuming, or like I'll be in conversation with people and this theme or idea will just keep coming up. And that can be like one of those things to attune to, of, oh, that is a vision that wants to come through. But then there's also the ones that are like the more in-depth planned out commissions, where someone is wanting like specifics, and I tell them, let me be open to a little bit unexpected inspiration with those. But I do, when there's a roadmap someone's wanting, to try to stay with that. And then there's the ones that are really exciting, where there is no vision in mind initially. It is just a blank canvas, or maybe there is a vague starting point. And then as each step is executed, those little muscles speak up again, of like, oh, why don't you do this next? Why don't you do that next? And since that moment in 2013 of that channel opening, it's always been a gravitation towards the joy of like, just what are the colors that are going to bring you joy? What are the techniques that are going to bring you joy? Eliminate the shoulds or what you think should happen. Just what will bring the joy, the creation of this. So yeah, that's what I go to.
Perfect. And like, can you describe the process for creating a piece from start to finish? Or do you have one technique, or do you have many ways you start a painting?
Yeah, I've really been drawn to the like what I learned from Amanda about the Mish technique of starting with that initial sketch on the canvas, imprimatura, and then doing the dance of building up the layers of highlights and shadow, the value, and then going back to colors, and getting in that little Mish technique dance. So that is usually how the canvas gets going. And then it's just, I just love to get into that experimentation of how much can we build this up, like there is a voice that'll speak up sometimes of, oh, here's the stopping point of the layers that you're building. But each one is like just it can be so exciting when you can go into a painting with that attitude. Oh, let's see if we can make something we haven't made before. So really try to keep things as open as much as possible to that kind of thing happening.
Amazing. Yes. Like how can we bring a vision to the canvas, right? So many possibilities. Yes, thank you for sharing. And about your workshop, you have a workshop that you just started recently, right? Can you share
Yes.
more about it?
Yeah. So I started teaching a few different workshops. I used to teach at Paint and Sip Studio, which is one of these places where like people can come to have a drink while learning how to make a painting step by step from an instructor who's up at the front of the room guiding everyone through a painting step by step together. And then everyone at the end of the class has like, the same picture, more or less. Like everyone's is of course different, but everyone was working off of the same step by step process to create this painting. So I've taught a couple of classes like that in recent times, but the one that was most recent was on the intuitive art making process, where it was an invitation for the folks in the class to consider, first of all, what creativity is in general. And then we talked about, what is the intuition? What are various techniques of accessing the intuition? Going over, like automatic writing, meditation, and even touching upon just like those activities like showering or driving your car when like those ideas kind of come through unexpectedly. And then shared with them various techniques for formulating a vision, such as doing like an envisioning through meditation or automatic writing, and then doing like a light, quick, loose sketch to capture whatever vision is coming up, or do the decalcomania process that Amanda and other visionary artists teach about. You are just starting with moving the paint around and then seeing what visions want to be pulled from the randomness of the marks, allowing that to be the starting point for what comes next. So giving people that basic guidance and then having like 2 hours for them to get rolling on their own ideas. And then I move around, and if they need one-on-one guidance in any way, it's provided. So yeah, it's been really fun. And everyone that was part of that class was like, oh, I'm inspired to keep painting. Thank you. So like that's the thing that I could have hoped for most from people coming out of it, not feeling like they had to make the perfect painting, but that they were just inspired to keep going with it. So it's good times. Good times so far.
Amazing. I wish I could be part of one one day.
Yes,
Yeah.
one day we're gonna be hanging out in person and sharing like a 20-minute hug when we first do.
Yes, please. For sure. And this, yeah, the connection that you say with also the festivals that you go to and you do the live paintings there. You just say about the 20 minutes hug. I just thought about us in a festival. I don't know why, but anyway, it can be there. It should be there. It will be there. And yeah, and how is this connection of you live painting? When did it start? And how is this like? How do you feel about it? Your experiences? Yes.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I started doing the live painting a few years ago when I started vending my art locally, like just setting up my 10 by 10 pop-up at local events. Just by making friends with other artists at these events is what led me to the festivals. Like just meeting a friend who said, hey, there's a Psytrance festival out in Nashville that I think they would love your art. Do you want to go? There's another spot for you. And following that call. And then, meeting other people and artists at that event that were like, hey, you should do this event. And it's like this organic networking that has led to where now this year I am signed up to be part of several festivals where it is like a commitment to being part of a gallery setup, a live painter zone, potentially like a group mural that all of the artists will work on who are part of this festival. And then also, in addition to all of that, you get to share your art in the form of the prints, the stickers, the merch, whatever you have to offer. And this is an opportunity that, unlike the markets that I was part of locally, where I have to pay a vendor's fee to be part of them, this is like, we're going to cover your ticket and we'd love to pay you, but we can't yet. But come on out and be part of this, and you don't have to pay for a ticket to be part of this. So I'm so grateful to just met folks that have led me towards these opportunities. And after the last festival that I was part of, I'm just so excited for what I see as the positive potential ripple effects of this world of festival art, which has been going on for a while. Obviously, many artists in the space have been part of the scene for a while. I really am quite new to it still, but like I was at a festival called the Mountain Music Fest last weekend where an artist collective called the Pigment Sanctuary was hosting the gallery space and set up this live painter zone. And it was just mind blowing, this art temple that they created essentially for the weekend. There was like a shed that you could park an airplane in, that they just cover the walls with art from over 30 artists from like all around the region. And then, everyone had their merch tables out. All these easels were then out live painting out near the music. And then they had like a little green room tent for the artists where like needed a place to go rest or get a snack, just hang out with friends, you could go there. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like what potential this holds, not only for the people that come to these gatherings to receive the transformations from this immersive art experience that's set up, but these guys are so conscious of ensuring the artists are being taken care of. And, these are artists that have spoken about festival experiences where that has not been as much the case. And so these are artists that really want to find the means to elevate each other, elevate the art that everyone is making it better for the people coming to experience the art, making it better for the artists that put forth the time and effort and energy to do this. And they just they're doing the things to make the magic happen that do to me speak powerfully of a positive potential again of a world we're evolving into. So like the Pigment Sanctuary, these other artist collectives that I perceive around both the US and other parts of the world that are creating these kinds of spaces and these transformational gatherings is so exciting. And I cannot wait to see how this world is operating like within a few years if we can keep going on these positive evolutions in terms of what kind of experiences people will be receiving and how artists will be supported in providing them. So yeah, it's just super cool, and loved the panel discussion that happened here a few weeks ago too about this community that Anya hosted, where so many artists got to chime in on their perceptions of the evolutions of this world too. So it is an exciting one. Yeah. Yay for all of us who are getting to play in these realms.
Yes, indeed. And I can tell you from experience for what I live here in Brazil, and whatever you guys push it will happen as well here. So push it harder, please. Continue with the hard work because it's doing a positive flow for the visionary art inside, not only visionary art, but any kind of art inside of these festivals, inside of these transformational gatherings where well, we create these visions that are coming from inside, that are these connections between all of us. So why not have these gatherings to exhibit this kind of work that we do? And you mentioned Pigment Sanctuary. It's Lacey's project, right? Lacey?
Yes.
Yes, she.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a vision frame writer as well. Silver Arrow, right? Her project.
Silver Arrow Art and Kettlehead Art, Ashton Hill, these are the co-founding artists of the Pigment Sanctuary. Yes. And yeah, just kudos to them for setting the example, setting a strong example of how we can be evolving for sure.
Wow, to that. It's an amazing ripple effect from the vision train. Yes. And can you share, well, let's talk about a little bit about the vision train then. Can you share all the offerings that you did here? Can you list it?
Yeah, I think so. I got onto the train in May of 2020 when the Mushroom Art Jam was introduced to the masses as a thing that was going to be happening. And it was so cool getting on the train that day. And there were hundreds of artists on board. And I remember Veronica Rose did like a guided meditation for everyone before we all jumped into working on these paintings together. And then we had this amazing online exhibition of all of these mushroom paintings a few months later. So that was my first experience with the train. And from there on, it was just, let me just jump onto this space and get some work done while connecting with these amazing people and getting into like these very deep conversations sometimes very quickly that feel almost like when I'm at a festival or a burn gathering and I'm wandering and then I just bump into the person or experience that is like the medicine that was needed in that moment for both me and them to exchange, you know? So I saw from early on that awesome aspect of this space, and then just was a little bit shy at first, for sure, very like shy and intimidated, like all these artists in here. But over time, recognized everyone is really nice and really encouraging. So yeah, let's do some trips. Let's do a trip that was all about loving the cats. That was one of the first trips we were on together, where I just invited any cat fans come onto the train so that we can like get our cats on camera and sharing the love for our little buddies as well as our art. And then I did a trip with Amanda Mullenbach called the Midnight Crewcast. That was a Midnight Gospel themed trip. If you haven't seen the Midnight Gospel on Netflix, an animated series, 8 episodes, holy whoa. A lot of us had our minds blown by that one when it came out in 2020. And so yeah, it was super fun to get on the train, and Amanda and I would just host these sessions of we'd watch an episode of Midnight Gospel and then everyone could chat about it afterwards, the insights and perspectives arose while watching it. And then we got into some Miyazaki movie trips too, just celebrating the awesomeness of Hayao Miyazaki and his films, and just having great sessions where we could watch the film in the train space, do some painting together, and then after the film, have the chance to talk with each other about the things we loved about it, share with each other our projects we'd worked on while watching it. And then yeah, the current works in progress trip evolved a couple of years ago out of just one of the anniversary weeks where yeah, there was a call being put out of, hey guys, let's host some special trips during this week. And I just was inspired to create a session that would just sort of formalize what happens so much in this space all the time spontaneously, which is us working together and then interacting with each other to receive feedback about what we're working on. Oh, this is my painting. I'm having trouble with this part, or I don't know what's going to happen next, or what do you see going on here? And it being that space where we could just share with each other the feedback and reflections that help us grow. So that's been going on for a couple of years now. And artist Jeffrey Enlightenless, Jeffrey Pletnick is the other artist that hosts that space as well. And it's just awesome every time I host that, you know, whether it's only a couple of people or a whole bunch, the conversations that emerge are really inspiring, educational, and nurturing. And I feel like I grow and change just from learning about what others have got going on with their projects. Yeah, it's just the inspiration has been strong to just keep that one going. And we have a session tomorrow. If anyone wants to hop on board tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be doing that. Come share your projects.
Great. Amazing. And so, can you share what opportunities has this global community provide you and how it influences your expressive creative expression?
Yeah. Oh, there's so much to say in response to that one, you know. In addition to just like the awesome opportunities to be part of exhibitions together, you know, like these exhibitions online that have been hosted together showcasing everyone's work, or you know the special like meetups, like two that really stand out are the Artist's Way trip that Rosie hosted a few years ago, where you know it was just Rosie and Simone. It was just this incredible meetup where a bunch of us decided to embark on the Artist's Way book together, this workbook for like helping a creative person to quiet the voices of the inner critic and work through what is deemed as creative trauma by the author, Julia Cameron, with the idea being that certainly in Western society and a lot of societies around the world, like there's been this purposeful oppression of the creative spark within a lot of folks from messaging that you know is tied to some powers that be's desire to keep us disempowered, you know, to keep us from accessing that sense of empowerment and inner discernment that can come from having a creative practice going on that one is confident in. And so when a bunch of us got together to read this book and then like meet up once a week to share the outcomes together, the outcomes of our exercises together with each other, wow, like that really just was some medicine that blasted through a lot of the blocks and the qualms and the questioning and low confidence that I have had about myself as an artist, the kind of art that I'm making, and felt like one of those life-changing things that happened in this space. Another life-changing thing that happened in this space was Lizette recommending to me one day to invest in my own high quality printer to be able to produce my own prints from, rather than going the print on demand route of making prints. Um, you know, that was a game changer in how I share my work. And then, of course, our 48 trips, you know, our Science of Man trips. How can one put into words the uh, impact of that evolutionary experience of meeting up with a group weekly for over a year to do what we do in that space, to practice that inner discernment so that you know one can separate the true observer self from the egoic self's reactions and qualms and ways of being that can keep us from being our best selves. So oof, yeah, it's just I would not be the artist I am or the person I am with so many experiences in this space that have been truly life changing. So it's yeah, just thank you to everyone that has felt the call to bring their offerings here. Like those are only just a few out of what have been truly so many over the past 4 years. Mind blowing, inspiring, life changing offerings here. So yeah, thank you everyone.
Yes, thank you, thank you. You brought up the artist way. Wow, what a life change moment for sure. What an experience. What a to do in collective, to do this in the collective and get to know our difficulties together. Yes, wow, it was truly amazing this trip. This, well, I was just doing the artist way, 12 weeks. The 12 week was 1 week before, Monday. It was Monday, last Monday. I just finished again the artist
Yeah.
way. Yes, I just finished again, and I was hosting it for the Brazilian community of visionary artists. That well, it's also a ripple from the Vision Train, and yeah, I have so much as well to thank the Vision Train for every experience, for every learning. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And I would like to open the floor. Amanda, do you have some questions to bring to Molly?
Wow, wow, wow. Oh my goodness. I I'm just blown away, Molly. I've been looking forward to hearing this. To you and I have yet to spend time together in person. And I
No.
feel like that's sometimes I was sitting here second guessing that. I was like, I don't know, though, really, it's after this amount of time and this many times of like interacting, it's almost like a dream state experience. Like, have we been in person together? It feels like we have,
One time.
once.
Yeah. Which, it didn't result in a direct face-to-face interface, but in 2019, I had the opportunity to go to Burning Man out in the desert and to be in the tent where you, along with the Grays and Android Jones, were all giving presentations about your work and process. So I was in the audience while you were up on that stage sharing about this. And in my journal coming out of Burning Man, I was writing notes about how inspiring your presentation was and things that you had expressed, having no idea what was going to happen the following year. And here we are 5 years later now. So yeah, so much
Wow,
love for you, Amanda.
thanks for reminding me of that. And Marina reminded me too that we were in the same space at the Boom Festival, I think 2012, right?
Festival grounds are a gathering, right?
Yes. Yes, and so valuable. And there's been some talk in the chat around, and this buzz comes up every now and then. When are we going to meet together? When is there going to be a Vision Train festival or a Vision Train gathering? And we're scattered all over the world. It would be quite the feat to get a large amount of us together. But I think it's definitely, and as we're moving into year 5 of the Vision Train, I would love to look forward further ahead to something like that. And I'm another thing that I'm really inspired by in your story, Molly, is your teaching journey and seeing the work that you did initially, and becoming certified and having the degree and going in and teaching children, and that holding of space, while you yourself were still so, you know, longing for your own evolution and revolution and all of that, and that taking place, and then coming back to teaching as you are now. I think there's certain people that feel called to that offering, to that way of engaging and teaching. And so I'm also really inspired to see how that's going to evolve for you, and the holding of space that you do. It seems to be a natural thing. And I just want to commend you for that. Also, the transparency that you walk with. I think the world is going to need ever more characters to show up with such authenticity and transparency around their own struggle and their own stories. And I'm curious if you see yourself, like, say, in 5 years, where would you like to see your work? And how would you like to be? Yeah, what position do you see yourself in 5 years?
Right on. Yeah, thank you. I see myself uh continuing to create and for the teaching offerings that I have just started to explore currently to be expanded upon. Because yeah, I come from a family of teachers. Actually, my mom and my dad and my sister are all full-time school teachers, or at least my parents were before they retired. But I kind of had my heart broken by it a bit because I got into the school systems that I was in, and I fell in love with like the magic of teaching itself, the fulfillment that comes when you do get to show others these tools and tricks for bringing their inner worlds out, and watching them become so proud and fulfilled. by what they have suddenly made. Like, oh, I loved that. But the school systems, the schools that I was in, just did not have the structure and support that would enable me to keep going with it without my nervous system breaking down. You know, this is an experience so many teachers have had, and then there's some teachers who've been in schools where they are supported in the ways they need to be, and then they keep going. But yeah, I would love to, in many ways, keep doing a lot of what I'm doing now in a more balanced and sustainable way, and to refine this workshop that I have started to introduce on intuitive painting processes, and to continue to teach that in its various forms. I feel like I got the sense of when I introduced these recent workshops, like with the paint and sip ones, that like that's been around for a little while now, and there've been a lot of folks who've gone to have that experience of someone's going to show me how to make a painting step by step, and that's going to be the experience. From what I heard from people in this class on intuitive painting, people are eager and excited for being introduced to ways of bringing their inner worlds out without it being so like directed of this is the picture you're going to make. So I just hope to yeah, continue to find these transformational gatherings where I can offer these kinds of workshop experiences, as well as share my art, and to yeah, beyond that, I don't want to nail down the details too much, but just yeah, to elevate what's going on now, find balance, and yeah, just find the people that I'm meant to be sharing these things with.
Yeah, 5 years is actually quite a lot. You know, it's, if you think about it, it's like 2029. And I haven't been very good about looking that far in the distance. So it's a challenge to even like if I'm going to ask you that question, I got to answer that question myself too. And I think I'm interested also in what is it that you need, right? Like, to consider, what is it that I need to do the work that I feel that I really want to do in this world? What would support me? Because so often the artists we're really fending for ourselves, juggling balls, you know, in so many directions. It's like to keep it all together. It's, I think, in a similar way, probably as teachers, different though, you know, you have to really hold it together, and there's not a lot of support out there. You know, especially as you're independent, the system doesn't even support you very much.
Yeah.
What do you feel like would really support you? Imagine, paint a picture that would be, you know, maybe that can inspire all of us.
Yeah, yeah, no, and yeah, all of the balls you're juggling, doing this, being an independent artist compared to all of the balls that are being juggled as a teacher, there are some parallels there for sure. And the thing that I need, that a lot of us need, is better financial support. I want to see our world evolve into one where everyone is better supported to be able to have the money that they need to take care of themselves, so that the stress and the strain of the juggling so many are having to do right now can be eased, and then more people do feel like they can support the artists that they want to support, as well as support their own journey in nurturing their creative spark. I go to these festivals where like so many will say to me how much an appreciation they have for these visions, and they want to support, but they just don't feel like they can right now. And I just, I am doing what I can to continue to pivot in what it is that I'm doing with my practice. You know, I'm very new to the path of being an independent artist, and have come to recognize already that this amount of juggling that I'm doing is not sustainable long term. And I'm eager to find the rhythms that will enable me to have a sense of that. But like, I just really do perceive that necessity of large scale societal shifts where this hierarchy of greed-based powers that is benefiting only a few while so many others are straining and scrambling to stay afloat, that needs to change. So yeah, I can definitely recognize things that I need to keep going with what I do, but it's like that is the big one. Whenever anytime on this path, when I have fallen into those negative states of doubt and questioning and oh, should I be doing this? You know, it's from that place of trying so hard. But yeah, it's just society is not set up to support artists very well as we are currently. But then I see so many artists that are like scoping out these frontiers of how we can make things work in new ways. People are finding avenues of networking and utilizing the internet in new ways to find their people and to find the connections that do enable them to keep going. And, you know, despite the strain, I hear in people's voices like their perceptions shifting on the value of art and the importance of art, and especially with like the prevalence of AI-based art rising, you know, recognition of the value of this art that contains a sense of soul within it more than ever. So it's like I do have that optimism that the collective's perceptions of what we all need and want, you know, to have some positive shifts happen for all of us to occur. There's a lot of that there. So how we inspire these collective shifts that will be beneficial to all of us is one of the big games that a lot of us are in on now. So yeah, the Renaissance and artists supported by patrons. I'm actually thinking about initiating my Patreon account again. I used to have one and then I stopped it for a while, but I've been thinking about doing that again to share just, yeah, the idea of, hey guys, if you want to support what I do, here's the avenue to do so. You know, there's certain attitudes about money and one's value that certainly like had to work through over the years and considering doing something like that. But it is a good thing to do. People want to support us, but it's like, I can only give you $1 per month. I'm sorry. That can be effective. That can add up if enough people are doing this kind of thing. So yeah, we gotta advocate for ourselves and advocate for everyone that this world keeps evolving to be more beneficial for all.
Yeah, to that. Amazing. Let's all advocate for each other. And with that, is there anyone here in the room that wants to ask a question for Molly or wants to share a comment on that? The room is open. Be-
Hey, I just wanted to say, Molly, I've been so grateful to get to know you on the train and doing the work in progress. I know I haven't been around with those for a while, but it's been so enriching to sit with a group of people and just talk about the meaning behind paintings or what other people's perspectives are, and having a whole group of artists to sit and ponder your work with you is so lovely, and something that I haven't, really had since school. So it's so great to have that opportunity, and it's been really cool to see your evolution in work. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Love
Thank you,
you.
Nina. Thank you so much, Nina. I've loved getting to know you and the works in progress trips too. And your body paint art that moves through you. So good. Love it. Thank you, thank you.
I could share something. Hi, Molly. Hi, everybody. Early on in the beginning of the train, I had a meltdown. Do you remember, Molly? That was like the first time we I just was in a funk. It was the middle of like COVID, and I had the knee surgery just done, and the world was not I was just getting crazy about the world, and I was on the train, and I don't know, I just broke down. It was so unusual for me to do that on a train trip. And you were there, and you were so loving and supportive. And I remember that's how we first connected. It wasn't even an art thing. It was just like, God, what's going on in the world right now? And since then, I just feel so close to you, like a daughter, sister, every mother. You're all those things to me. And I just wanted to show everybody that I own this Molly Chopin original, and I love it so much. And I see it every day. It's in my dining room. I just ran to get it off the wall. And I always think of you every day when I see it. And I love your art. If I had more money, I'd be buying a couple of the new ones you did too. Maybe I will soon. Anyway, just love all your trips. The movies. I never even heard of Miyazaki if it wasn't for you. I'm serious. And it's just been a really great. Thank you, Amanda, for giving us this opportunity to get to know people on such a deep level. But I did get to hug Molly in person at Cosm. But still, I felt close even before that. So, and thank you, Marina, for this wonderful idea of interviews. It's so good to know some of the other, parts about the person and like the things that you went through. And that makes me think of Amanda talking about the pressure on the seed. It needs that kind of stress sometimes to break open and blossom. And I feel that's what you've succeeded in doing, that you broke out of that shell and did what you were brave to make those changes. I mean, you put all that schooling in and then to move on to something else. That's wonderful and brave. And look, it paid off in your case. So that's it. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. I love you too. And yeah, likewise on just the depths of bond that is experienced on my end of things with you. And yeah, thank you for mentioning the times in which we have cried with each other in this space. Cause yeah, like I've done it too. And a lot of us have come in here just for life, there's a lot of life going on behind all of us and all of our little train cars, and sometimes it's just had to come out in here for us to process some of the shadows together. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that experience, because that is another really valuable aspect of this space, that people can feel safe to share in that way.
That's right. I always say that when I teach a class, if I have tears and uproarious laughter, then I succeeded in you want it all, the whole life thing. And yeah, we have that on the train, that's for sure. And that's great.
For sure, many experience, many sharings. Thank you, Rosie, for bringing that up. Anyone else wants to chime in, ask something for Molly, or yeah, just a comment?
I will. I
Cool.
just hi Molly. I just love your work. I love the luminescent light that comes from it. And we were chatting earlier before you hopped on, myself and Shara and I think another couple of people were like, how does she do it? Like, just the luminosity and the feeling of warmth. And you're one of my favorite artists on the train, and I loved listening to your journey, your honesty, your vulnerability, your strength, and just sharing all of you. And I appreciate that. And I am so grateful to hear it and witness it. And I want to see where you go in the future too. I love that. What did you call that little snake thing with the past, the present, what's it called?
A story spiral.
The story spiral. Yeah. I want to see where that goes. I feel it's going to go.
Thank you, Sandy. And yeah, big hugs. I have loved interacting with you in this space, and really hope that we get to be in person together soon.
Molly, I have
all of the things that Sandy just said and that Rosie just said, I feel the same. I feel like you were one of the people I keyed in with like pretty early on, and I've always felt your honesty and vulnerability and your love and support of everyone in the room at all times. And I'm so thankful for that. Um, and I love the parallels that you and I have had with like the body art and the fact that you're doing the Community Mural Institute training right now. And I'm so excited to hear about what's going on there. And I'm about to do a story spiral with a bunch of people in a listening session like in a week. So
Nice.
that just made me smile. But I wanted to just ask how you feel like the different aspects of what you do or what you've done filter in. Like I know for me, body art was an incredible place where I had my first like tap with channeling spirit, but it's it feels different for me painting on people than it is painting on canvas. Or painting on a wall. So like, can you talk a little bit about how those different, and teaching too, like how those different things kind of all work together or work against each other?
Yeah, well, that's a good one, Shara. Thank you for that. And yeah, it is so cool. I remember when we first met, I was so excited to talk with you about body art stuff. And then yeah, with this mural school that I'm in, I was part of an online training session one day and then showing a little video of like a previous mural project that they had worked on some artists. And there's Shara. There's Shara in the video. It was so cool. And yeah, when I got into the small business mentorship program that I did in 2019 and 2020 for artists, I was feeling a little burnt out because, I was working at the restaurant and then doing all of these different things, the body art, muraling, commissioned artwork, original paintings, costume making. I was feeling like I was spread out too much. And the mentor that I worked with gave me the advice of, what would be one thing that you could focus on? That if you could choose, like out of all these things that you do, what would you want to focus on? Not what you think you should, but what would you want to? And at that time, I honed in on paintings on canvas, on 2D surfaces, just eager to allow for some more of the intuitive visions to come through that were more detailed and in depth than what I might be doing on like a human form or wall. But after I like kind of did that for a while, focused on that one process, I found myself like still receiving opportunities to do projects related these other processes, and found that I want to be an artist who does not necessarily like isolate myself to certain mediums. I want to be open to all of these different mediums and processes if I can, while still understanding the value of not getting stretched out in too many directions, and not being able to make one thing grow potentially because you are like, say, trying to do a mural business, a body art business, fine art, print reproduction business, all these different businesses and hats one can wear. But I think that it is possible still, like more than ever, to with how one presents one practice, present all the possibilities of the different things that one can create while still perhaps specializing on just a couple of these things. And you know, they do influence each other at times. Like totally recognize how I go to a lot of symmetry in my work that is influenced by the years that I spent working with the symmetry of the human form and doing that dance of, oh, how are we going to create symmetry on the body with this body paint design, and taking that game to canvas and the depiction of some of the sacred geometry or just visions that want to come through in that way. And I'm sure from experience, like when you do like a bigger wall mural project, how it feels to go from that to like a smaller canvas. It's like sometimes that refresh perspective and process can positively influence the smaller canvas process, because it's like, oh, look at all this detail I can play with that I wasn't on the wall space. That feels so good, this being different from that. So yeah, I think it's such a unique journey for everyone on the creative path, and the dance of how to like do all the things you want to do without getting burnt out is a good dance, be dancing. But I think it can be done as long as one is conscious about how the body's reacting to all the activity. And then yeah, certainly you have the mediums influencing each other, and these foundational ideas that can come through each medium. It's like the foundational reasons why someone makes art, and the foundational messages that come through their art, I think can be translated through all these various mediums and processes. There's an underlying link between all the messages, even if they're in the different mediums. So yeah, that's yeah. Thank you for that question. And so that's the response that wanted to come through.
Thanks. I think that is really helpful. And yeah, I think that juggling all of the things while specializing in some and practicing self-care and listening to your body is all of that, I think is a good mix, right? I
Yeah.
think you're doing it really well right now.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like I'm doing pretty okay right now. There have definitely been chapters where I've not been doing so okay. So thank you. Yeah, like just, there are moments of the mental health challenges that still arise with all of this. But listening to the body is one of those go-tos, one of those big affirmations to keep in mind. And yeah, your stomach hurting or your limbs starting to feel tense, like when you're considering all the possibilities of what you can do, yeah, just knowing how to pay attention. We don't want to push too much harder than we're at right now.
Yeah, I love how even the vision train is aware of that, and people have had offerings doing yoga and meditation and all kinds of other, like, calming, relaxing, mental health kind of, physical health kind of things, as well as just being a space where we can come and do our art or get support emotionally or artistically or any other way. It always has felt like a welcome space for everything and anything in any moment, given moment. And there's seems to be a synchronicity of the people who show up. I've walked into a room at times, and walked in, jumped on Zoom, and it always seems like this perfect combination of people that have just the right things to share.
Yeah, yeah, synchronicities galore in this space. Yes, absolutely. And yeah, it's like there's the fire analogy, and then of us like gather around this fire in this space, and then it's like we bring mirrors to the fire. We bring mirrors to hold up to each other and say, look, I see you and you're awesome, and have confidence in your reflection. There's so much of that happens here too.
Yes, for sure. And also, you're just bringing up about listening to the body, about how our feelings can influence our creative expressions, right? This is one of the topics of the week 12 from The Artist's Way. For example, she says we cannot be in a place with our mind and our body where we want to bring like something really nice out to the light if we are not inside feeling like that, Yeah. So it's nice also to have these reflections, to have these mirrors of each other here. Yes. Thank you so much. I got one last question for you, Molly, before we end up this. Well, anyway, before we end up this, is there anyone in the room that wants to ask Molly a question? I can wrap up with the last one. If anyone wants to chime in, ask something.
Just
Yeah,
really
go ahead.
quick. Just really quick. I've always really appreciated your presence and the way that you take care of everybody that's on the call with you, and you cultivate this healing space, and the way that you present yourself is very healing. I don't know what it is, and I always feel like I'm connected to a lot of your artwork. It feels like I've felt that before, or I've been there before, and that familiarity is so sweet, and I just appreciate you so much.
Aw, I appreciate you so much too, Brittany. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm really interested in the notion of soul clusters, the idea that in our incarnations there are potentially clusters of souls like that we go through lifetimes with, getting to be various teachers to each other in different ways, and friends, and provide experiences on these ways. And yeah, like I feel that way about so many of the artists in this space, and the visions that move through you and so many others. I feel this too. It just like thank you for speaking to that quality of this experience. Like I do feel the power of this art movement that we're all part of. Those of us in on this call today, and everyone who comes into the train space, like we're part of an art movement that um after some time goes by, there's going to be some real neat perspectives to take in about, whoa, what was this thing that arose in this time that all of these souls jumped on board with. And yeah, it's just like we are in on some games together, and we may have had some fun with each other in other realms and other times and spaces, for sure. And perhaps the visionary art that moves through all of us are little hints and glimpses of that interconnectedness beyond this tangible reality. So we'll find out someday, but it feels like that now. It feels like that right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So great. So the question is actually about your artwork, Molly. Well, if there anyone else here wants to talk. No? Yeah? No? Cool. We're good? Okay. So the question is, when people look at your body of work, what is the message do you hope they understand?
Oh, that's a good one. Thank you, thank you. Messages that I hope they understand, the two big ones. Remember the spiritual nature of this existence and how it translates to you through whatever imagery you can feel a connection within my work. And remember that art heals. And that being a reflection again of that creative force inherent in all of us that can be expressed in infinite ways. And the hopes that, yeah, if there's a creation of a work that I can do that can inspire someone else to want to create too, to feel that sense of its healing potential, then that is the best that I could hope for. If these are the things that could be perceived from my body of work.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. What a powerful message. I so appreciate you being here. I so appreciate everything you just said. And yeah, I'm a big fan of your artwork as well. I'm a big fan of you. I'm so glad that I met you, and I have such a cool friend.
I am so glad that I met you too. And thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being part of this incredible community, and for hosting this space, and all the love and energy and devotion and creative energy that you cultivate here and embody. And oh yeah, we are gonna be most definitely dancing on a festival floor together someday, hopefully alongside everyone in this room here, maybe to one of Danny Love's live DJ sets. May it be so. May it be so. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's many of us dreaming of this dream. So yeah, let's see this ripple happen.
Choo-choo-choo-choo.
Let's get a choo-choo. Yay. Thank you, everyone,
Choo-choo!
for joining. You can check Molly's work at her website is www.mollychopin.com. I hope I said that right.
I'll write it in the chat. We got the word art next to the name, but otherwise it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, mollychopinart.com. And you can check out all her paintings, all her merch, and also she has a very interesting newsletter that you can sign up for it and get to see what she's up to, the work in progress, and also this communication where we are just feel very welcome and warmed by your words, Molly. Thank you so much for that. Deeply appreciate you. Yay.
You're welcome. And thank you again.
Yes. So, well, this is a goodbye for the streaming. Thank you so much for each one that was live with us. This is the Vision Train. You can check more about the Vision Train at www.visiontrain.org. And you can see the schedule in our Mighty Network app as well. That is like this social media from the Vision Train, that's Mighty Network. And also the website, you can check every information there. That is the link from the Zoom where you can be here creating live with us. We just had last week on Thursday a fundraising event that was such a success. It's called Imaginary Cells, right, Amanda? Yeah. Yeah, it was so amazing, and it will happen again in a full moon soon. So you check that out, and you can also follow the Vision Train on Instagram, so you can see what's going on here. So thank you so much for everyone. Deeply appreciate. Yay. Bye-bye.
Yay. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Molly. Thank you all. And it's the new moon when we had the event, and we'll have another
Good.
new moon. The Vision Train started on a new moon. And so it's a good place for planting seeds and tending to them. So hope to see you all there, and sometime jump on board. You never know when something's going on. Sometimes the renegade train is the best time. You'll find the link just straight from the website. So cheers to all. Bye.